Chevrolet Corvette has been a staple in the sports car industry since the 50s. We've had, at this point, 8 generations of the Corvette, and in my opinion, this is the best one. This right here is a 2018 Chevy Corvette Grand Sport. So, this got introduced, or at least the C7 generation of the Corvette got introduced in 2014. And in my opinion, it's my favorite generation of the Corvette because it really just took everything that was great about the previous cars and turned it up. Because no longer is this seen as, sure, America's sports car, but it's cheap. This is not that. These cars are anything but cheap because while sure the C5, C6, they weren't the best when it came to interior qualities. It was that, you know, 90s, early 2000s GM parts bin stuff, but when this thing got introduced, they really just revamped the whole platform because now the car is actually reputable. You know, it has the performance, it has the handling, but it also has the comfort and the nice interior to match. Now, the Grand Sport specifically didn't get introduced into the C7 lineup all the way until 2017. That's when this thing became part of the lineup. So in 2014, we had the regular C7, Stingray they called it, which was fine. Had about 455 horsepower. Not a bad sports car, pretty good. You know, the manual was a lot more funner than the auto. Then in 2015, we had the Z06, which was crazy. It was the fastest Corvette ever produced at that time. It had 650 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. It was insane. It was a monster 6.2 liter supercharged V8 LT4. Then in 2017, GM said, let's make a car that has the hips and that's wide like a Z06, but people don't have to spend 80, 90, sometimes $100,000 to get that kind of performance. Because with this, the Grand Sport has the looks and everything, but it still has the regular LT1 V8, which we'll get to in a second. It does not have the supercharged V8. Now, of course, because it's an LT or LS based engine, you can modify it. There's turbos, prochargers, whatever you want to do to this thing. But the Grand Sport is great because you get the looks, you get the aggressiveness of the Z06, but you're not paying that crazy amount of price tag. And honestly, the LT1 is just as good motor. Sure, it doesn't have the 650 horsepower, but you don't really need that every day today. Let's be honest here. Now, of course, would I want a Z06? Of course, I would love a Z06, but in 2019, they really killed it when they introduced the ZR1. That was just insane. I mean, it's got 750 horsepower. It's an insane car, but those have just skyrocketed out of price proportions at this point. And yeah, now we have mid-engine Corvettes. So in my opinion, this is the last really true great Corvette. Of course, the new one is still an awesome sports car that competes with like exotic cars. But this was it because this is front-engined, rear-wheel drive, old school, big V8, just the right amount of everything. It was basically a culmination of all the Corvettes into one car with a better interior, of course. But yeah, so this thing, as I said, is a 2018 Grand Sport. It's black with Chevy's awesome brown interior, which we'll get to in a second. I'm not a big fan of those chrome wheels. I would probably go with black because black on black looks awesome. So I would go with a black interior. No, not black interior, excuse me, with black wheels. And I'm not the biggest fan of black exteriors, especially here in Vegas, because it gets stupid hot in the summer. And also you can see everything in it, like all the scratches and everything. But all in all, it is what it is. The only thing, if I had this car, I would change the wheels. I would definitely get probably Z06 wheels and do black ones. But let's go ahead and take a look at that interior because that's really where this car shines. But of course, we can't move on without doing a little remote start. Now, because this one unfortunately is an auto, I wish it was a manual, but it's an auto. It does fortunately have remote start. So you lock the car and then you just hold the button down. I mean, it does sound pretty good, let's be honest. But let's go ahead and move on to the interior. So to get into the interior of these Corvettes, it's been like this since the C6. It's had these like electronic door handles. I mean, some people love them, some people hate them, but let's say the car is locked as it is right now. All you do is come up to the car, you put your hand in here, and there's a button on the back of the door. You just push it, and it unlocks and it opens. The button's right there. You just push that. As you can see, it disengaged the lock. But opening up this in awesome looking interior, in my opinion, this is it's black with, Chevrolet calls this Kalahari Brown. So it's awesome. I really love the color. I dig the black on brown. I think it's awesome. And of course, this one is optionally optioned with the competition seats, which are sweet. I mean, of course, if you're daily driving this, these might not be the best seats, but let me tell you something that not a lot of other companies will give you, these basically carbon fiber comp seats that are heated and cooled. These are heated and cooled seats. Good on Chevrolet for doing that. But I think they look awesome. And of course, you can take the top off on this car because it is a Targa top. So this comes off, and just imagine yourself, a nice 70-degree day. You have the roof off, beautiful interior with these comp seats, cruising the back roads. It'd just be an awesome time. But let's go ahead and hop in this thing, and let me show you guys that awesome interior. So of course, as I said, sitting in these seats, they do hug you pretty well. I am kind of a bigger guy, but I do fit pretty good in the seats, so that's a plus. But to start it up, of course, because it is an automatic, foot on the brake, start button right there. Sounds really good. I really am a big fan of how this car sounds. I love that LTV8, but now this car is tinted pretty well, so it does block out the sun, which is good. But this car is optionally, it does have the option of having this beautiful carbon fiber look. So as you guys could saw, carbon fiber on the seats and then carbon fiber on the dash right here. And of course, as I said, a much nicer interior than every other Corvette that we've seen before. So we have that beautiful leather stitched dash up there, as well as up there, it matches with the orange stitching. You have it down here on the seats, the doors, everywhere. It is awesome. I truly do believe this is the best interior we've had so far. I mean, I haven't really been in a C8, but I'm assuming it's nicer. But in terms of like, out of all the Corvettes before the C8, this definitely has the nicest one. Now, you do get a full digital dash in the center with your tachometer, but on the sides, it's still analog. So you have an analog speedo, you have your gas gauge and then temp gauge. It's honestly really all you need. So here in the middle, you do of course have your infotainment system. So this is Chevrolet's infotainment. It's kind of like how Ford has their sync and Dodge has their Uconnect. So this is theirs. It's pretty good. It's pretty responsive. It's not slow or anything. And of course it does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto because it's a 2018. So it's nice, but we don't need to play with it much. The only thing that you can do is when you go into settings, you can go to driving mode. So as you guys can see, it is a little delayed and you do have to really push it to get it to go. So I'm not, of course you can also use the dial, but it is also a touchscreen. So if you click it, that's to mess with the exhaust. So you can put it in, if you put it in stealth mode, it does actually get a little bit quiet. Typically would. This car is kind of has a muffler delete, so it's kind of loud the whole time, but which is good. But it's nice. It's all right for what it is. I mean, of course there are better systems, but it's fine for now. Of course you do have your climate control down here. I do like how they made them, the dials are actual physical, which is pretty good. Now of course everything down here, as you guys can see, heated, and of course cooled seats, which is good. I am a big fan of that. I do like the fact that they, you know, give you competition seats with heating and cooling. It's very nice. 8-speed regular slush box automatic, nothing too special. That's why I said the manual will probably be better. The new C8 has a dual clutch, awesome trans. You do get some storage down here, not a lot, but honestly that's pretty much it for this interior. The car isn't crazy. I mean, it's a sports car, so you don't have that much space in here. I mean, it is what it is. It's a sports car, right? So let's go ahead and move on to that motor, because that's kind of where all of the magic really happens. Now here it is, Chevrolet's LT1 V8. So this is a 6.2 liter natural aspirated V8. As I said, it has the styling of the Z06, but it has the performance or the engine of the regular C7, which is not a bad thing. As you guys heard, this motor sounds great and it performs great, as you'll see when we take it out on the road. But this makes about 460 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. It's a pretty healthy amount for a car that doesn't weigh as much, because it is, of course, most of it's fiberglass. But all in all, very nice motor. It is mated to a it's, I was gonna say ZF8 speed, but it's not. It's a regular 8-speed with the torque converter. I kind of wish it did have the like a dual clutch. It would make it so much funner to drive, but it is what it is. The new C8 has that. So let's go ahead and hop in this thing. Let me set up the camera and let's go ahead and take it out for a drive. So setting off in the 2018 Grand Sport, how does it drive? Well, like a sports car. So of course you shouldn't expect the most comfortable ride, or you know, it's floating or anything. It's actually pretty well. It's actually pretty well balanced for, you know, it does exactly what you need it to do. Wherever you point it, it goes. It is, I like it. I am a big fan, and I truly do believe that you don't need 650 horsepower. Of course, I wouldn't turn it down, but this is pretty good. I really do like it. Of course, you do get a good amount of road noise in here, but that is normal. It is a sports car at the end of the day, and of course it's a target top, so this is never going to be as perfect as a solid roof, but it is what it is. You kind of just have to take it. But I do like it. I really do. I'm going to be honest. I do like this car a lot. And of course, flicking the thing down, you do switch it to manual. It's got a lot of torque. I mean, 465 pound-feet of torque is not something to gawk about. I do have the car in sport mode right now, so it is not the loudest it could be. Of course, it could be louder with track, which we'll get to that in a second, but I just wanted to kind of cruise it, and it does sound great. I mean, it really does, but it drives phenomenally. I really do think so. Now, I do have to correct something I said earlier. I thought that the car had a muffler delete. It doesn't. Somebody had locked it into track mode, but I just figured out how to remove it, so now it's in sport, so now it's not as crazy loud as it was before, but of course it does still sound really good. So yeah, right, we have a little tunnel. I love the way this car sounds. I mean, and it also drives really good. It's very stiff when it comes to how it takes corners, but you do get a nice little kind of pop and gurgle. I do like it. I really do. I am a fan, as I've said multiple times now. I don't know if you guys could hear it, but it sounds awesome. Honestly, it really does. It's like a missile, man. You get it ready, you get the RPMs up, and then you just take off. And it sounds phenomenal. It really does. I've always been a massive fan. Close the window so you guys can hear me better, but I've always been a massive fan of the C7. It's definitely my favorite Corvette of all of them, and this one does not disappoint. I of course would prefer a manual, but then again, for daily driving, if you live in somewhere with a lot of traffic like LA or whatnot, this is great. And I do have the heated seats on. They feel great. It's phenomenal. These seats are not as harsh as I thought they were going to be. So at first, you see how they look, and you think to yourself, oh, they're carbon seats. These are going to be rough seats. It's going to be a bad ride. It's not. It honestly is phenomenal. I really do like it in terms of comfort. The fact that they're heated and cool for Vegas is awesome. You know, that's props to Chevy for doing that, because a lot of companies make you pick. You either get the really cool looking seats, or you have to get the comfort seats that come with, you know, with the heating and the cooling. But this one gives you both, and I do like that. But let me flick it over one more to track mode, which will really get the baffles opened up. Oh my gosh, it does sound really good though. Now, I've said that multiple times, but let's see here. Let me give you guys a little tonneau kind of. Let me know down below, you guys. What do you guys think about the Corvette? Are you a fan of the C7, or do you think this one went a little too modern? Because I have heard that from some people, you know, old school Corvette purists. They're like, oh, C6 was the last great Corvette. I do like the C6, definitely. The Z06 and the Z01 are amazing cars. They're sweet performance cars, but you can't argue with the fact that this thing is a better car. Like, overall, nicer interior, better performance. It's just, it's a better package. I think it looks better. The styling of the C7 is awesome. I mean, with the black color, with those daytime running lights, I think this car looks perfect. Well, maybe not perfect. Some angles aren't the best, but overall, Chevrolet did do a pretty good job of building a great sports car. Now, let me know down below, you guys. I'd love to hear what you guys think about the C7. Is this something maybe you'd consider if you were shopping for a sports car? If you are considering a C7, would you go manual, stick shift? Would you get a Stingray, Grand Sport, Z06? If you have the money, a ZR1, that's what I would go for personally, but let me know down below. Or do you just hate Corvettes in general and you would go with something else? Because I do know people that have a strong hate for these cars because of how hard it is to get in them. But I mean, I think you kind of have to know that when you buy one of these, because it's a sports car, right? So you should expect it to be hard to get in and out of. I mean, it's not the most comfortable thing on the planet, but it is what it is. You guys let me know down below. What do you guys think? C7 or no? Now, of course, you guys didn't think I was gonna let you go without a full acceleration, did you? I love it. I love this LT1, but I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy.